we've been a PRME champion for quite some time. Um, and because I work with Gen Z, and we understand that, they are going to shoulder the responsibility of quality life ahead for their families as well as educational institutions. So I believe a lot in reverse mentoring. Personally, I was always involved in student activities beyond academics as well. So we used to work together for some community impact, some of the other, activity which would connect us with social work and community work. So we would like to go out and do something for them. This was also through my, debating and theater society. So I actually motivated my team to work really hard to promote, SDGs and to look at social problems in the nearby areas. And we led some life skills program. We worked with entrepreneurs. We wrote comic format case studies through which I was able to make my students realize the importance of, social entrepreneurship or innovation, which would help improve the quality of life of others, encourage them to volunteer through life projects. So they would volunteer with organizations which were dealing with grand challenges, let's say disability issues, or it could be work with the acid attack victims. We would pick up these kinds. And now I would like to call it empathy walk, which I learned from your cohort. I was doing it, but this was something that I learned to name it well. Now I now mention empathy walk, and thanks to the cohort, I learned a lot from there. And also the fact that there is a whole lot of emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I integrate theater in my classes, and one of the assignment is always based on SDGs. And this time I picked up something which connected them to uh, DEI particularly, and interestingly gave them auto ethnography research papers of faculty members. They have written research papers about their own life, lived experience. For example, somebody was bullied, or somebody who was gay the professor had to face a lot in terms of getting accepted by the learners. So I picked up 5 such research papers, and my students adapted it into theater and they performed. And through that, I obviously sensitized them towards these issues, and as well as make them aware of certain um, the importance of the POSH Act, the POXO, the gender neutral language, ableism, ageism. And this was not being taught like that in the formal way, but they became so sensitive through this activity. So theater is very important for me. Art-based education is what I really enjoy doing with my students, and I felt they learn more. Also, they become very compassionate. So the I5 framework actually talks about connecting them with reality, and making the whole learning process joyful. And what is joyful for me is co-creating it along with my students. So when I'm designing an assignment, working around what the students would love to do. So that's how I would say that we do a lot of other things too, but as an individual, as an academic, this is the way I love to engage my classes. I'll tell you something which I, again, as a practice I've been doing as an educator. At least one assignment that my students do. I'm a communication faculty, but any one assignment in my trimester, I definitely connect it with sustainable development goals. That is mandatory. For example, once we were into report writing, and I told them that they will be writing about light pollution, and through that, data visualization and all that we did. Similarly, just now I concluded a trimester where the students were into a live project again, and they were working with a social entrepreneur, and they were motivated for climate action and waste management and all that. So every time and there was another time when we did some role plays. One assignment is always a competition, and in that competition the jury would be an expert from that area, not from my institute. So this has been my practice since many years. In that competition, when I was doing the skit activity on research papers, one of my colleague who is the OBHR faculty, organizational behavior, she agreed to be the jury. And an expert is also a really eminent professor in the same field. So they both came and they were a part of the assessment of my, class assignment. Because of which, my colleagues who never had integrated theater in their classroom have now started doing that. Also, when I teach a case study, we know that it has to be done interdisciplinary, like it approaches different disciplines as well. So even in that, I have encouraged students to write cases with me, and even other colleagues of mine in the institute have started joining me to design more activities together. So design thinking or systems thinking in education, all these things where I have published, they are also, my colleagues are also encouraged to join me, and together we will do more of leadership training, transformation in education. So we would like to contribute in that way. And that's where I feel that certain things are actually inspired from the classroom, and they're reaching up to the other professors and they feel motivated to do similar things. At least two faculty members I know who have started integrating theater in their classroom, both OBHR faculty. And there are other faculty members who are using my approach of, integrating SDGs in their, activities as well, which we presented in PRME Global Forum Meet this June. So whenever some colleagues are about to start a course, they reach out to me and they say, do you have something innovative for my class? Yes, they do approach, and not only my institute, but because of me integrating theater, there are other institutes who have started thinking about integrating, and I deliver FDPs and keynotes to help them understand how art-based teaching can become a new method of human connectedness, because we are so distanced from interpersonal social communication nowadays. So the world is pushing them towards tech. I'm pushing them back with people, so through my interventions, and also internationally, we have started doing more work around art based, and that recognition has started coming. Yes. I would say that, for example, when I was not in this institute, I was still doing all these things, yes, similar things. Now, when I'm in this institute, which is a PRME champion, and after the I5 framework came up, so ideally, it should be like a systemic thing. It is yet to pick up, to be very honest. But then I have adopted it thoroughly, and that has become an example for my institute as well, to share with others that yes, something is being done in the adoption of I5 framework. I would say that in small ways, yes, it has definitely started making an impact. From March till today, I think I've been mentioning this cohort in many places, on many platforms, recommending it as well. Adoption of I5 framework as well. I mean, there are many things that I have integrated in my daily, activities too. So thanks for the vision. When we had a particular training program in my institute, there were district education officers who came from Bhutan for a training. And I delivered a session for them where I spoke about I5 framework. And I also talked about the leadership competencies, which we had in fact, in that particular week, we had discussed it in your cohort. And I had a session just a week later, and I integrated it. I can send you pictures, of that training. You would like to see them. I will definitely send it to you. It was very well received. I got very good feedback for that. So what I did was, since we had, about, I think, 28 or so members, so we divided the groups. There were, five, six groups for my activity. And then I picked up, groups of these competencies, and I gave them small activities wherein they were supposed to give me evidences of how these traits are going to help them transform education, because they were all district education officers who are going back to bring a change. So to be honest, it was a small duration, so I could not obviously do a lot, and in a deeper way. But I definitely got a lot of insights from what they were doing, or what they wanted to do. So when we picked up blocks of these competencies, like how you have listed it out, when we picked up bunch of these, and each group had to uh, discuss about it. So then in each, we would say how a particular competency is going to be necessary to bring any kind of transformation in your education, or how have you applied it. So there were some examples that maybe some of them, they have been teachers, now they are in bureaucracy, but they had done something, like I have done theater. Similarly, somebody had done this, or there was some conflict in the institute they were. How did they resolve it? So as leaders, how did they really embrace these competencies? If they did, then how did they do that? To what impact? So that was a kind of discussion room that I had created around these competencies, which was based on a case study about a child CEO. So that story, I started, giving them inputs. And after that, what would the school do, how the teacher can, and, other things. So that case study is now published as well. So I would love to share it very soon as I get DOI. So this was after this, we discussed the leadership competencies, because we are talking about the struggles of a young child who wants to bring a change. Yeah. While we were researching to publish a work, we were looking at the different mindsets, or the vision the Gen Z has nowadays. So while some it is a published chapter, and we really in detail we talk about the Gen Z and their learning styles. So the thing that and I read a lot of reports, from all over the world, where they're talking about employability skills. So I found that almost everywhere they said that Gen Z is looking for such work which has some purpose. So they're looking at some meaningful, roles. And they're not just looking at earning a lot of money and spending it on luxuries or assets, but they're also looking at, contributing in some way, in a very meaningful and a purposeful way. So they need value in what they do, and they're also very sensitive towards others needs, and they are ready to, they have taken up roles of activism, if you see on social media also, so somewhere the change maker mindset is visible but not nurtured. So that's exactly where I keep myself, I know that they want to do something for the betterment of society, or even otherwise, making tiny changes in their daily habits to make a greener planet. So, for example, the young children, they're always on digital media. And let's say we are writing an email or designing a greeting card or a poster digitally. So I asked them, go and check what carbon emission happened after this email. So when you're drafting an email, how green is it? If you're designing a poster, how, what are the elements of, environment are you really damaging, because you may be using too much of bright colors. It's on the screen, on LED screens, it's harming our eyes. There can be other discussions, because of which I found that the students will, if they have if their energies are channelized towards more meaningful work, if they are integrated uh, in such activities, then they would not waste their time, on activities like getting stuck in reels, or, like I say, apps and abs generation. all through apps and building apps, but for what? So for me, sustainable leadership is those are the the younger generation. I feel that their commitment towards, or their demand, they are demanding. They want a certain lifestyle for themselves. So they do demand a cleaner air. They want the intergenerational equity, like I say. So it's a human right. So those younger, you know, people, the youngsters, the youth, I feel that with the right mindset and values channelized for bringing a change and remaining there to see the change, to actually actuate whatever vision they have. And just having a vision won't help. Action, action oriented, stepping out, bringing a change. So, not just talking about it. So, I don't want them to become activists and just by writing posts on social media or trolling someone. I would rather want to see them step out and take actions and lead by example, and in a period of time where they actually bring some credible change which is visible, and which is really making an impact in not only their immediate surrounding, but have a larger impact in the days to come. So I totally think that sustainable leadership is nothing else but being there, resilient, taking it through the end, and starting small, starting immediate, but for a larger impact in future. Said, we do a lot of theater in my institute and debating as well. So during my club activities, as I said, we have to organize theater events and other things over a period of time. Like we started in 2008, so it's 2024. The club has been absolutely active, and some years back when I took over, I started integrating SDGs, partnering with United Nations Global Compact, and because of which our institute started seeing more value in that, and they started seeing that theater can bring a lot of change in the mindsets of students and nurture the leaders. My students started doing some impactful work, and they started becoming more responsible. So they started getting identified by the institute. Okay, this is a student who's done some good work. Then we stepped out and took up, contributed, not formally, informally, in our life skills education program in the village, or took up other such things, during which it started, the discussion started that can we have an elective, in the institute. So I designed an elective, corporate effectiveness through theater techniques. And that was an elective which helped me establish the pedagogy better. And together with that, integrating social sustainability or social change leadership, etc. And what happened was, in one of the cohort, a student, his name is Lalit. He'll be happy that I named him here, Lalit Nigam. The group was divided into two, and both the groups had to perform. So the final examination of that elective is a stage show, like they have to perform. So they were adapting Indian drama, and they were going to perform. So one of the play had a character which was a transgender. We call them eunuch also, right? Now in the team, the roles were assigned randomly. The students did not have a choice, and they had a show just next day in the evening for their final evaluation. The student who was assigned the transgender role, he just backed out, and he just said, sorry, if I do this, my classmates and they'll make fun of me, I can't do this, and he stepped out. At that time, Lalit had no choice but to pitch in, and because he had a theater background as well, being in the theater club as well, he thought that I can't let my team down, and he took the role of the transgender. And believe me, I have his video. He tells us how just by dressing up and acting that part, how that changed his mindset. Later, obviously, he got placed. He joined the corporate, and he's been getting awards for agile leadership every time. he has started a theater club in his own office, and they are now performing on stage with strong social messages. So I would be very happy, to share some pictures of his as well, if you agree. So these are some, and his experience. He has written a diary for me, and he says that how, I had to remove my beard to play the role and how it impacted me. And then he wrote back saying that now I know, when the corporates are talking about DEI, when they are trying to bring in, into mainstream, the specially abled or the marginalized, I know that, what I can do, and I can tell my colleagues of how to conduct themselves in that scenario. Student, the similar thing. He did this kit, and the whole team had only boys, and he had to dress up like a girl. So he said that now I feel what the girls go through. I mean, I have a sister, I have family members, I have my classmates, but when I dress up, when I wear their dress, now I feel what it means to be a girl in a society who does not allow, opportunities to them and other things. So this is another, very good example I have.
So, how does the Leap Researchers program support you, or can support also others in the mission of transforming educational system? How do you see like it's supporting in solving a problem?
Um, I think um, I think I was very fortunate to be a part of the cohort. The LEAP Researchers program is designed so well that the best thing is that you feel like you want to do something and you can do something. As a teacher, if I talk about me, I was far away from visibility. Like I would be doing things, but I would not be really talking about it or known so much. With this, with the LEAP researchers, the the communication that you sent out, like, acknowledging and appreciating, that definitely added to my visibility, and as a faculty, the credibility also, right? You're a part of a kind of cohort, and you're acknowledged there. So it's that communication helped to me. It meant a lot. The other thing that I would say is that throughout the very first session that you started, Marina, that letter, I read it to my students, I read it in my training programs. I want to, let people know that how you should be conducting your sessions, how compassionate you need to be, which I was, but now I have more things. That the songs I used songs earlier, but now I do more, and I choose my songs very nicely from the, Leap Spotify as well. And I can't tell you the friend song, the Nigerian song. I've used it in that training program. It was a very beautiful activity, and the participants loved it. The not just the content, but the whole way that you should conduct yourself when you're engaging with stakeholders, the whole demeanor that you should have, that inclusion that is real, that compassion is real, that value for giving, that what we call is appreciative intelligence or appreciative attitude. If you are so giving in your activities, it is bound to come back in bigger ways. It amplifies, comes back to you in bigger ways. This has come back to me in many ways. The goodwill, the learning, the different types of people here. Everybody was sharing something or the other, for us to learn. The non-violent communication, which symposium that got selected in Academy of Management, which I was there in Chicago. Much of the content I realized I could learn more because of your cohort, because there were people talking, writing, about these things. So I understand that knowledge sharing is important, and we don't have to be so secretive about what we do, but we rather have to collaborate to, bring it stronger, as a discipline or as a, for anybody who needs it, in their lives. So that knowledge sharing, the quality of conversations that we had, the method of coaching and mentoring that you have set up. So these are certainly pushing me more into the, PRME framework, going deeper into it, systematically organizing my classes or approaching my topics. So there's so much to learn from each other. That whole platform has nurtured me into a better human being, a better academician. I don't know if there's any other word that I can use, but um, sutra sutra in India is sutra, thread. Yeah, it's thread, a thing that binds you together. It's a very uh, auspicious, precious thread that you have, woven us all together, and the importance for multidisciplinarity. At least, when you talk to others, you are attending sessions like climate and this and that, which may not be a core area, but you are getting, aware. So I think I would definitely um, hope that, this spreads far. And I've been talking about you everywhere, to everybody, yeah. Yeah, so I think in India, particularly, I'm talking about the kind of policy that has come. The new education policy. It is making institutes do these things. It is expecting them to do these things. So probably we should look at, targeting those institutes which have this in their vision and in their action points. Like they have their own vision, mission, and they also have a target to achieve in a particular year. So they will be motivated to do these things. But like you said, it's true. I mean, what I would like to do, probably it's not easy for me to find someone who would like to, like, go ahead and adopt theater. Maybe they don't have the mindset. Maybe they think this is more unnecessary time spent. You never know. So this is actually a very important thing if integrated with, let's say, things like AACSB has a standard 9 and a standard 10, which talks about social impact, social leadership, student led. So we have to give them evidences where students are leading change and students are involved. There are methods of learning now, experiential learning by doing. So maybe curate projects and customize them for higher education or school level, and bring it as a product and integrate it in their action plans. This may probably spread far uh, and faster than just motivating everybody to do it. It won't really work. And then when one or two institutes shine ahead, everybody would follow. That is definitely going to happen. In India particularly, there's a lot of government initiatives that are around social sustainability, social leadership, or innovation in teaching to bring change, changing and transforming institutes. So there's a huge focus. If you wish, that I can actually help you with some of these people who are leading that change. So maybe something can be done at this level here. I think it can be done.
Yeah, thank you. As
I
a
totally understand, when you try to walk a different path, it's not easy.
no,
It's absolutely not easy. Yeah. But then you have like-minded people joining you sometime, and then it starts. So, for example, PRME, I think many Indian institutes have started aspiring for this. Earlier, we had very few. Now we have more. Now there are many, because our mandate, because of our accreditations, we have to integrate. Plus we have courses around sustainability, climate. These are also mandatory to have. So something can be embedded into such a course, and it can be achieved. Here we are more formal with things, right? You have to formative. We are not that let's do it and then no, but integrate it into curriculum, integrate it into hands-on learning by doing projects, experiential learning, or live project. You can announce some live projects, and then the students can do it in there. For example, I have a communication course. Even then, and I have a topic, let's say report writing. So I make them work with a social organization. You learn a lot of things. So they worked with foundations which were working on disabilities. That's how they get sensitized. But for me, it was a report writing project. Yeah. So something can be done like that. Yeah. There are some institutions where they have departments which focus on interdisciplinarity, or their entire agenda of student development integrates this. So maybe the newer ones, the ones who are just establishing themselves, probably they are bringing these new methods easier and faster than those institutes which have existed for a longer period of time. For them to change, maybe it takes longer. But those who are new, they are into that competition. So to
Mm,
be ahead in the competition, they are doing great things.
mm,
Like I said, when you try to do something different, you do not have too many people with you. So
mm.
we do
Yeah,
require, these, the kind of support you're giving to me right now. And I would love to share, all the kinds of things I do here. I compiled a short video of mine for an award event, and you might be able to see the kind of impact. And this is all, teaching, learning. It's nothing that I have not done with my course. It is all within my course that I teach that I was able to achieve this. And I wrote a case study, which is a comic format case study with my students. It was a class assignment. It turned out to be so good that it went ahead, got us a lot of international acclaim. Theater was just a club activity. Today, it is a course, an elective. Not only here, many other institutes have started doing it. Yeah. And yeah, I do a lot of mentoring also for this.
yeah,
That is why it was very easy for me to integrate the I5 framework, because the philosophy was right there.
yeah,
Philosophy was within me, even when I learned about Lego Foundation, which I used to think was only for schools. But no, I mean, one can achieve a lot. So that philosophy was there. Probably that I never was putting my teaching method into a framework, which
yeah.
I've started doing now, thanks to you.